to Cyprus or hidden the money. He was slumped against the interior wall, a single, professional stab wound to the heart. He was killed elsewhere and moved here, Sarah said, her voice clinical as she examined the body under the harsh glare of the forensic lights. She looked up at Charlie, her face pale in the moonlight. This was a clean-up, Charlie. Someone wanted the money, the lawyer, and the fall guy all taken care of in one sweep. In the silence of the morgue-like lot, the tension between them reached a breaking point. "You're pushing yourself too hard," Sarah said, stepping into Charlie's space to adjust the collar of his coat against the biting wind. It was a small, intimate gesture that spoke volumes. "You haven't slept in 24 hours. "I can't sleep," Charlie replied, his voice dropping an octave. "Not while she's still out there. Todd thinks he's smarter than us, Sarah. He's used to controlling the narrative." "Then we changed the story," she whispered. Then the phone rang. A burner app, a distorted voice, a demand for $2 million. The city was officially held hostage. Chapter 4. Mother's Ruin and the Labrador Tea. While the search for Megan intensified, the noir of Street Johns claimed another victim. Willem Devereux, the patriarch of the island's most famous distillery, was found dead. The scene was grotesque. The old man had been drowned in a vat of his own signature gin, the very liquid that had made his family a dynasty. Charlie and Rex arrived at the distillery as a cold rain began to fall. The Devereux children, Alan, the CFO, their grief clearly secondary to their interest in the will. "My father was a tyrant," Jaden told Charlie, his eyes cold. He was about to make an announcement that would have destroyed this company. Rex paced the distillation room, his nose working overtime. He stopped by a row of oak barrels and began to pour at a hidden compartment. Beneath a pile of burlap, he unearthed a suit jacket, soaked in gin and smelling of a very specific botanical. "Recognize this, Alan?" Charlie asked. I had an accident." But the truth was in the chemistry. Sarah's autopsy revealed that Willem hadn't died from the gin. He had been struck with a full bottle and then submerged while still alive. "And then there's this," Sarah said, holding up a small vial of crushed leaves Rex had found in the master distiller's lab. "Labrador tea. It's an old First Nations remedy, but Willem discovered that in a specific concentration, it created an addictive, floral note that would have revolutionized the market. But it's also a neurotoxin, if concentrated. Willem was being poisoned slowly, before he was murdered." The motive was clear. Jaden had been secretly negotiating to sell the distillery to a Japanese conglomerate for hundreds of millions. Willem had found out and was planning to disinherit his sons in favor of Melanie. "It's a legacy built on poison," Sarah noted as she and Charlie shared a quiet moment in the lab. "The more I see of these families, the more I appreciate Rex. At least he's honest about what he wants. He just wants a steak and a nap," Charlie joked, though his eyes remained fixed on Sarah. "What about you, Sarah? What do you want?" The silence that followed was charged. She looked at him, her gaze searching. "I want to know that, at the end of the day, there's someone who sees the real me, not just the doctor." Chapter 5. The Crypto Key and the Spear. The cases collided on the deck of a luxury yacht. Jake Kaufman, a tech investor with ties to the Wilkins firm and the Devereux family, was found pinned to his own deck by a spear gun. "The watch," Rex signaled, nudging a mahogany case in the master suite. Kaufman was a Ludite, Sarah explained as she walked the deck with Charlie. He hated digital footprints. He kept his entire fortune in cryptocurrency, but a 64-digit hexadecimal key is impossible to memorize. He had it engraved inside the casing of his vintage diving watch. The investigation became a race against time. The killer, Veronica, Kaufman's business partner, had already murdered Endicott, the software engineer who had tried to blackmail her. She was a ghost in the water, using a stolen tour boat to move between the marina's shadows. A high-speed chase through the fog-choked harbor ended with Rex making a death-defying leap from a pier onto the moving boat. He pinned Veronica just as she was about to toss the watch into the Atlantic. In the aftermath, Charlie found Sarah standing at the edge of the docks, watching the police lights reflect in the dark water. Todd is the one who tied it all together, Charlie said, joining her. He used the Traynor family's muscle to snatch Megan because she found out he was laundering the Devereaux sale money through Kaufman's crypto accounts. He's a monster, Sarah said. He's a man who thought he could hide in the fog, Charlie corrected. He took her hand, his fingers lacing through hers. The warmth was no longer terrifying. It was a sanctuary. But the fog always clears, Sarah. Eventually, Chapter 6. The standoff at Cape Royal, the finale of the season, led them into the heart of the Newfoundland wilderness. The Traynor crime family, desperate to protect their drug shipment and silence the witness to Megan's kidnapping, had sent a professional hitwoman, Serena Rickett, into the woods of Cape Royal. Charlie, Rex, and Jesse tracked the witness, Wyatt, to a remote camp as a storm began to howl through the spruce trees. "We're being watched," Rex signaled, his hackles raised. A shot echoed through the trees. Charlie felt a white-hot iron sear through his shoulder. He fell, pulling Wyatt down into the mud with him. "Jesse, get him out of here," Charlie roared. "Take the trail to the bluff. You'll get a signal there." "I'm not leaving you, Charlie," Jesse cried. "That's an order. Go." As Jesse led the witness away, Charlie slumped against a mossy trunk, his blood staining the forest floor. Serena stepped out from the veil of rain, her silenced pistol leveled at his head. She was a professional, no monologues, just execution. "You're a good cop, Hudson," she said, her voice a cold whisper. "But your dog is in the wrong place." Rex didn't bark. He was a shadow, moving within shadows. He launched himself from a rocky ledge. 100 pounds of muscle and fury. He hit Serena with the force of an avalanche, the pistol clattering into the brush. Charlie struggled to his feet, his vision swimming, his hand reaching for his service weapon. "Stay down, Serena. It's over." The thunder of a tactical chopper drowned out the wind. Donovan and the SWAT team rappelled down, the forest suddenly illuminated by a dozen tactical lights. The noir was over. The light had finally arrived. Chapter 7. The Aftermath and the Light. 2 weeks later, the Wilkins law firm was a boarded-up shell. Todd was awaiting trial in a high-security wing, his corporate empire dismantled by a German shepherd and a persistent detective. Megan Schaefer was recovering at home. The boy Brian, having visited her to present a drawing of a bright, sunlit park. Charlie sat on the deck of his trailer, his arm in a sling, watching the sun dip below the horizon. The Atlantic was a sheet of glass, the fog nowhere to be seen. Rex lay at his feet, contentedly destroying a new rubber toy. The sound of a car door closing announced Sarah's arrival. She walked up the steps, a bottle of wine in one hand, and a look of pure, unadulterated affection in her eyes. "You look better," she said, sitting on the bench beside him. "I feel better," Charlie said, and he meant it. "The city feels quieter." "It's the peace after the storm," Sarah whispered. She leaned her head on his good shoulder. "You saved a lot of people, Charlie. You and Rex. We did our job," he said. He looked at her, the woman who had walked through the fire with him. "But I realized something out there in the woods, Sarah, when I thought it was over." "What?" "That I don't want to spend another night in the fog without you." Sarah smiled, and the warmth Charlie had been so afraid of finally bloomed into something solid and real. She kissed him a slow, deep kiss that tasted of salt, wine, and a future that was no longer a secret. Rex looked up from his toy, let out a satisfied huff, and rested his head on Charlie's knee. The shadows of street. John's were still there, but for now, they were held at bay by the light of the stars and the heat of a bond that couldn't be broken. The end. Shadows of the Atlantic. A novel of mystery and longing. Prologue. The fog's embrace. The fog didn't just visit Street John's. It owned it. It was a living, breathing entity that crawled up from the dark, cold depths of the North Atlantic, weaving through the narrow, steep streets and swallowing the vibrant colors of the houses, until the world was reduced to shades of charcoal and ash. For Detective Charlie Hudson, the fog was a familiar companion. It matched the quiet, guarded parts of his soul, sitting in his unmarked SUV, the engine